Good evening, Facebook. How are we today? I hope you are doing fantabulous and not burning your little asses off in this heat. If you are not living in the UK at the moment, then you probably won't know that we have experienced our summer in 2 days. And of course, we're going to complain about it because we have no means to cope with it. I'm literally sitting in front of a fan, dying. The blind is completely shut, and I'm going to complain about it because I'm a Brit. Anyway, I don't want to keep you hanging on for long. I also want to just pre-frame you. So if anyone understands it, knows about it, my brain has been very scatty today. I'm thinking I don't want to say it because I'm not technically officially diagnosed, but my brain's just not working today. So I'm going to pre-frame this video saying I'm probably going to be a little bit scatty today, and there's only so much I can do to try and concentrate today. It's just nothing's working. So I've created a bunch of tips, created a bunch of things that I want to talk about. So hopefully it makes sense. If you are watching this on live or replay, just type in the box underneath in the comments, live or replay. And just before we get started, I do want to let you know that I have a few available slots within the coming week for a free call. Now, it's not just a sales call. It's not just a sales call. It's a call that's going to help you uncover exactly what's holding you back and give you the clarity and the steps to move forward. So regardless, at the end of the call, whether you want coaching or not, totally up to you. The ball is in your court. If you don't, you're going to at least walk away with the next 3 steps on what to do. So this clarity call, discovery call, breakthrough call, whatever the fudge you want to call it, it is just a call to get on the phone, see if we connect, see if coaching is for you, see if you're a good fit for my coaching. And if not, at the very end of it, you get 3 steps and beautiful steps to give you the right direction to what you need to get you to your goals. So let's dive into it. Now, I know you want practical tips, and I'm going to give you some practical tips, but there is some really important stuff that I want to cover today, and it is going to be the most influential. So you can say, yeah, okay, I just want an A, B, C, D of what to do, and I will give you that at the end of this call. But what I am going to do is just teach you that all overeating, i.e. clearing the plate, is emotionally driven. Okay, now all overeating is emotionally driven. We want to eat until we've emotionally eaten enough. Okay, now most of us who want to lose weight, who have excess weight, I guarantee you it's not the food that you're necessarily eating, although that helps massive amount, but that's only about 25% of your weight loss. 75% of your weight loss is actually who you are being when you eat. For example, are you distracted? Are you wanting something else? And for the most part, it is the wanting something else, and that is emotionally driven. Okay, so maybe we want to continue eating because it just feels good. Maybe you want to clear your plate because you want to get your money's worth. Maybe sitting there and having dinner together is your way of spending time and connecting with your family. Maybe it's the best time that you get to spend with your spouse. Maybe the longer you stay at the dinner table, the less likely you are to have to wash up. If any of these ring true straight away for you, it's clearly obvious that you're clearing the plate because of an emotional need, not necessarily because the food is just so fantastic. Although it could be, it's not necessarily true. So the reason why I talk about being emotionally driven is because there are 2 factors to your hunger. 1, your physical hunger, and 2, your emotional hunger. And like I said, if we're overeating, if we're clearing the plate, it's highly likely that we are listening to our emotional hunger. First things first, I want you to understand that this is perfectly normal. It is a normal practice, a normal part of our social conditioning, of our programming, of what we have learned and what we have grown up with. It is perfectly normal to not leave the table until you've cleared your plate, not leave the table until grandma's finished. Maybe it is perfectly normal to sit down at a meal to have family time, not have family time and then eat, but family time and connection is only when you're eating. These kind of rules and subconscious programming really does eke into adulthood and further, and we end up accidentally passing this on to our younger generations. And again, it's not our fault, it's not our parents' fault, but what it is our responsibility to stop that and change that. And you can do that by simply being on this call, simply being on this training and listening to what I'm teaching you and start applying that. I've seen so many places and people say, hey, Bianca, thank you so much for teaching me that. I realize now that I'm accidentally passing on all of these incorrect and misinformed ideas and beliefs to my children. And I don't want that. And although it was a mistake, I feel guilty. So you have the power to change that, right? This stops with you because you are watching this. And the best thing is you get to change and recreate and rewrite this story. So it is not easy to stop when your body has had enough food. I understand this. I wholeheartedly agree with this. And you might even think, oh my God, Bianca, look at you. You don't find it hard to stop eating when you've had enough. Yes, I fucking do. Yes, I pulled out the F word. I find it very difficult to stop at enough. Do you know why? And this isn't a pity party, but I've got 3 jobs. I'm busy. I don't have kids, right? Like I said, it's not a pity party. It's not a compare and despair. I'm not comparing my life to yours. I'm not saying that your life is any less or busier than mine. But I've got 3 jobs. I'm trying to pay my rent, trying to keep up my my health on top of all of that, right? So yes, life is hard. Life is hard for me, like it is hard for 99% of people on this planet. Because I have a life and because I have external stressors. Why do I always get something in my eye when I'm on camera? Because I have these stressors, it is hard for me to stop eating. Because for me, eating is a moment that I get to sit down and disconnect. For me, eating is a moment that I don't have to be involved in something. For me, eating, I'm going to get emotional. Oh, hello. For me, eating is the only time I don't have to be so preoccupied with everything. And that's just me. I'm not a parent, like I said, right? I don't have other things going on in my life. Yeah, I have some things, but not a huge amount of things. And so it's really important to understand why you are overeating in that moment, because it is providing you with something. There is only one reason why we do something. That's mainly to seek pleasure. The brain is so wonderfully and magically tuned in to seeking pleasure all the time that when you feel relieved, when you feel stress-free, so that's kind of like a form of relief, right? When you feel happy and content because you're eating, it's not necessarily the food, it's actually the break that's causing that elation. We then associate it with food. And we think to ourselves, oh my God, but if my meal is up, if my meal is over, if it's finished, then I'm not going to feel like this anymore. The funny thing is, my clients take it every week. They all have a very similar problem. And funny enough, the theme this week, before I even preset what I was going to do this week with you guys, before I even preset it, stopping at enough because it is providing something, is the theme of the week with my clients. And it's funny because I just find myself like, you know, saying the same things over and over again. But that just goes to show you that everyone is experiencing the same issues and the same problems, and it's not just you. And I say this with all the love and compassion in the world. You are not special. Yes, you are, but you are not special in the way that you and only you struggle with this. Okay, I'm telling you, I'm putting my heart out there for you. I also struggle at stopping at enough. But it doesn't mean that I let it win. And there is the difference. And you're going to say, oh no, you've got more willpower, you've got more motivation, you've got this and that. And you can say whatever you want under the sun. But we both, or should I say, neither of us have a gun to our head saying, finish that plate of food. The only difference is not motivation, it's not desire. It is the choice that I have made to stop when my body has had enough. But you are not making that choice in that moment. And that's okay. But if it's something that you want to change, then it's not okay. And it's something that needs to stop. And I'm betting that because you're here watching this video, that it is not okay. So start telling yourself it is not okay to eat beyond my body's needs. Because as soon as I eat beyond my body's needs, i.e. clearing the plate every single time, that is not okay. That is not good for my health. It's not good for my weight. And it is not a good example to set for myself or others around me. The reason why, oh, there it is, I found it. The reason, no, I didn't. The reason why you're overweight isn't because you ate when you were hungry, but because you overate. Okay. Now, there's two times really that you're going to be overeating. One, eating when you're not hungry, and two, eating when you're already full. These two times, and I want you to think of this as like the red zone. The green zone to eat is when you are properly hungry and before all the way through until you've had enough food. Those who have been or are clients understand exactly what that means. And that's something that we go through and we find exactly what your levels are, what your numbers are personally with each client, what that looks like for you, what it feels like for you, so you completely understand where those markers are. But that is where you want to be to not overeat. You want to be physically hungry and you want to be physically at enough. You want to be satisfied, not full. Keyword there, satisfied, or a special thing to remember. So because of this, and combined with the title of what this training video is, how to stop clearing the plate, you're going to need to get comfortable with knowing that you're going to waste food, especially to start off with. And that can be difficult for some of you, depending on your programming, depending on your experiences, depending on your socioeconomic position, experiences in life. It really does depend. The difficulty of this is going to depend on where you are. For some people, wasting food on the plate, totally fine. But again, I guarantee you, if you're here, this is something that you struggle with. It could be for one of many reasons. You might need to get comfortable with knowing that you're going to waste food to lose, that you're going to need to waste food to lose weight. Can't remember where I was going with that sentence. I told you my brain was feeling really scatty today. You need to get comfortable with this, okay? Now, the reason why it might be uncomfortable could be for many different reasons. Maybe you don't know when you're going to eat next. But what if we starve? But what if I get hungry and I can't eat for a while? I don't want to waste food. Wasting food is extremely wasteful. There are starving people out there. If you take a step back and look at these things that make it hard for you to leave food on the plate, these are all, and you might not like what I'm going to say, they're excuses or reasons as to why you choose to overeat in that moment. And they are masking the real reasons why you want to eat and overeat and clear the plate. So I want you to think that the most practiced and believed thought will always win. If I'm always thinking and believing that I'm inadequate, that I'm not a good coach, but I'm not as good as the famous people, but I'm not as good as the popular people, I will believe that. And that thought is going to win every single fucking time. Same with the thoughts of, I always overeat, I always overeat, I always overeat. If you're going to practice that, if you're going to believe that all the time, this thought will win, right? If you tell yourself one day, okay, I'm not going to overeat, and then you overeat, and then you go, oh, see, I knew that wasn't going to work. Well, the problem is the most practiced and believed thought was, I always overeat. You need to change that thinking in order to practice and believe something else, in order to get the results that you actually want. Another thought is, wasting food is bad, right? If you're always practicing and believing the thought that wasting food is bad, you're going to show results that confirm this. What about the thought, it's too good, I should be able to enjoy all of this? Okay, so then you're going to believe that and practice that. And every single day, every single meal that you come to, you think, oh, it's too good, I should be able to enjoy this. So you're going to overeat, you're going to clear the plate. I just want to take a little caveat here, something that I probably should have said at the start, but I told you that my brain is going a bit skedaddle today. Clearing the plate, there is not anything specifically terrible about clearing the plate. Sorry, it's like a dry piece of quinoa on my desk. How random. I wonder how long that's been there for. There's nothing inherently bad about clearing the plate, okay? But there is something bad about clearing the plate every single meal, every single time, and only clearing the plate, and when only clearing the plate is your cue to stop eating. The thing is, every single day you require a slightly different amount of calories. Calorie restrictions, where you stick to the exact amount of calories, the exact amount of macros, macro restrictions. These suck ass because every single day your body requires a different amount, period. It could be the matter of 1 or 2 calories. It could be the matter of 500 calories, but your body requires a different amount. So you don't know how much needs to go on that plate every single day. You don't know. You can only guess by patterns and habits. But the problem is, and I'm hazarding a guess that you're here, so this is probably true. The problem is you probably portion up roughly around the same amount, whether you use a big plate or a small bowl or a bloody side plate. You portion up the same amount, and you'll likely finish that plate. And either once that's done, your meal is done, or once that's done, you'll go back for seconds. Now, again, there's nothing wrong, inherently wrong, with clearing the plate, but there is something wrong with using that as your marker to tell you that you are finished, because it is likely that you are overeating. Unless 20 minutes later, after your food, you can honestly say that you are still exhibiting hunger symptoms. And I highly doubt that that's true. Okay. Again, I'm going to give you practical tips at the end of this video, but this is the juice, this is the meat, this is the substance that is really, really important. I want you to just note that choosing to overeat at meals looks like being part of the clean plate club, looks like eating every bite left, looks like multitasking or not being mindful when you're eating. Again, this is signs that you are overeating because you are not paying attention to what is going on inside. So I want you to challenge yourself to know if you're done before the meal, before the plate is finished. And this is going to be really freaking hard. You need to challenge yourself and say, hey, okay, Bianca, let's do this. I'm going to find out if I have had enough before my plate is cleared. and you need to make eating conscious and truthful as opposed to unconscious and dishonest. What I mean by this is you need to be mindful, you need to be there thinking about the food, thinking about the taste, the flavor, the textures, the smells, and thinking about how full you're actually feeling and being honest with yourself. Because emotionally, your brain's going to say, hey, I want to stay here until we've eaten all of this, because until then, I'm getting a break right now, or until then, I'm getting to connect with my family or my loved one. So your brain's going to say, I want to finish this entire plate. But your belly, your body is going to say at one point before your brain, and generally 99% of the time, your gut, your belly is going to say, hey, thanks, had enough. And do you know when that is? That is just when and just before your stretch receptors in your stomach are activated. Yes, we have stress receptors. Stretch receptors. I knew I'd said that wrong. We have stretch receptors in our stomach, in our gut, which then shoot up messages to the brain and say, hey, that's enough. That's enough. We don't need it anymore. But the problem is we keep putting food in and we keep stacking it on, stacking it on, stacking it on. By the time we feel and notice that we are full, we have way overeaten for our body's nutritional needs. And our body's like, holy shit, girl, that was a bit too much. Thanks for that. Now, I'm going to move on to one golden excuse is, yeah, but it's so expensive. It's so expensive. I want to make sure that I finish my plate because eating healthy is expensive and I don't want to waste it. Okay. If eating healthy is so expensive, how are you going to know how to spend less money on it if you're always overeating it? Checkmate, I'm out. There is always a reason for us to overeat. And I say us because I'm including myself in this every now and then. There's always a reason for us to overeat. But we should never let that reason actually override our senses and make us overeat. There's always a reason, but just because food is there doesn't mean that that is the solution, right? Hunger. Some people are really afraid of the feeling of hunger. And if you're not always eating when you are exhibiting physical hunger symptoms, then you are overeating. Overeating? If you are exhibiting hunger symptoms, then you're not overeating. If you are not exhibiting hunger symptoms, or even light hunger symptoms, fuck's sake, I told you my brain is totally not with it. I'm so sorry. You know what? You get me as you are. You get me as I am. Oh my God. You can clearly, I don't put on a show for anyone. You get me as I am. Sorry. Okay, let's start that again. If you never feel signs of hunger, then you are always going to be overeating. What we want to do is get to a place where every single time we eat, we are experiencing hunger before we eat. And this is really important because if you're eating before you feel those physical signs, which are perfectly normal, they are okay. It doesn't mean that you're starving. We need to normalize feeling hungry. Okay. It's like, oh, you're hungry. Oh, you need to eat something. Oh, you're hungry. You need to eat something. Like when I go around my nan's house, she asks me if I'm hungry. And before I say yes or no, she still says you need to eat something. And I'm like, I appreciate the thought. I appreciate the effort, but you're making this, okay? And I'm pointing to my belly. You're making this. So we need to normalize feeling hunger, feeling hungry, okay? And your fear of being hungry has nothing to do with hunger, by the way, but everything that comes up while you're not eating. So again, if you're eating or not eating. So for example, say you come home from work and usually you'll go and have a snack before you start anything. What's probably coming up is this wind down time, this landmark that work is done and now it is your time because you get to do whatever you want with that time. Now, if you think ahead of time, okay, I'm not going to have that snack, sometimes fear starts getting loaded up and we think, oh God, you know, I'm going to be hungry. I'm going to be hungry. But what is actually going on is the fact that you're fearful that you're not going to get that wind down time. So I want you just to take a moment and think, anytime you go and eat food, anytime you have a snack, especially if there is a pattern to it, maybe it's always at 8 a.m., maybe before breakfast or between breakfast and lunch, maybe it's at 10 a.m. every day, maybe it's after work. I want you to think about what you would be missing out on in that moment if you took food away from the equation. So you still sat down, you still put your phone down or away, the kids are away, maybe you just get home from work and it's your first opportunity to be alone. Imagine you still get to experience everything that you're experiencing without the food. How does that feel? Take a moment to just pause and think, how does that feel? Because I guarantee you, if you start worrying about being hungry, when you know damn well you're going to be having food very soon, maybe in an hour or 2 hours time, I guarantee you it's not the fear of being hungry, it's the fear of missing out. FOMO. Maybe it's the fear of not being distracted for a while. Maybe it's the fear of not being entertained. I knew you wanted practical tips, and I promised you some practical tips, but this is so vital. This is so important because we all just want that, okay, it's either this, this, or this. And we all wait until we get this beautiful piece of information that's going to change our fucking lives. But that piece of information isn't coming. That piece of information is well, it is coming. It's what I've just been talking about. So yes, I'm going to give you some practical tips, but that really isn't where the meat and juice of this is. The meat and juice of this is understanding that you are overeating because you do or do not want to experience more of something. And it is likely that you want to experience more connection, more downtime, more you time, more disconnection from the world, more hanging up your responsibilities, more connection, more love, more belonging. It's all down to that. More enjoyment. Think about it. If you're sitting here saying to me, yeah, but I just enjoy my food. Okay, is that the first bit of enjoyment that you've had in your day? Is that the only enjoyment? If eating and breakfast, lunch, and dinner is the only time that you feel joy throughout your day, doesn't that just prove to you that it's the joy that you're getting from the food that is actually the addictive quality, not the food? Is this making sense? Please type in the comments below if any of this is making sense. I don't actually know if anyone is with us today. I didn't type in we are live. We are live. I don't know if anyone's here chatting with me, but this is really, really gold. This is really, really golden. Okay, so get used to it is the category of my next bit of notes. Practice and get used to leaving food behind. Okay, you're going to really need to start practicing not clearing the plate. So leaving a few bites here and there. Then think, am I really going to use that last bit of food? Do I need this as a backup plan? Because if the leftovers here are going to be sat in a fridge, I'm going to be thinking and panicking around the food that's in the fridge. Am I allowed to eat it? Am I going to eat it? So just get used to leaving a few bites behind and throwing the shit away. You'll soon end up portioning yourself less, understanding where your enough usually is, and get comfortable with throwing away 1 or 2 bites. And when you do, I want you to notice all of the bullshitty reasons and excuses that come up when stopping you at enough. Because you're going to stop and you're going to leave the 3-4 bites behind, and then you're going to sit there and you're going to notice all of the crap that your brain throws up at you and tells you why we should just eat the last few bites. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And also, I want you to know that just because you know all this, just because you are aware of this, now you have this golden nuggets of information, it's not going to be plain sailing. It's not going to be bliss, and it's not going to be easy. Those thoughts are going to keep coming up. Like I said, I still get some of these thoughts. These thoughts are going to keep coming up. But it's your responsibility to push those thoughts away. If you have a thought of, oh, but this is just so good, you're going to have to say, okay, what about it is so good? The first time I've sat down, is it the first time that I've shut everything off in the world and just thought about my food? Is it the first time that I've had joy? Right? Understand what thoughts are coming up. Is it that the food tastes good? Okay, so what about that flavor? Oh, yeah, but my food just tastes good. Okay, that's great. I'm so pleased that you're eating food that you enjoy. But you could also sit in the joy of knowing that it's not going straight to your thighs or straight to your arms or straight to your belly, right? You also have the same amount of joy in knowing that it's not going to go and be stored as fat as opposed to utilized. Just because you know this doesn't mean it's going to be bliss. These thoughts will keep coming up. I want you to think of these thoughts as a kid in a supermarket, right? If you imagine seeing a parent and seeing a kid and you're like, oh my God, what is that noise? And the kid is throwing a fit, okay? This fit, this kid kicking and screaming at its feet, shouting, tantruming, jumping up and down, whatever kids do in the middle of a supermarket that embarrasses the fuck out of you. That is your old thought. That kid is those old thoughts of, oh yeah, but I just want to enjoy this, or but this just tastes good, or but this is the only time that I get to be with my family. That is that stinky thought that's kicking up a fuss. Okay. And at first the parents like, oh my God, please be quiet, like it's okay, and start soothing the child and gives in. That is those new thoughts caving in to let the old thoughts come out. What we want to do is get to the place where we're that parent in the supermarket with the kid throwing a tantrum and the parent's like, oh yeah, don't worry about it, he'll shut up soon. And you're overriding that thought, right? You're outsmarting that old unproductive thought that is not helping. You just let it subside and then you carry on with what is working. Okay, guys, I know that you want the juice, the meat, you want the practical tips. You have been waiting for it. You've been savoring it and craving it. Practical tips are no freaking use without the emotional element addressed. I'm going to say this again. Practical tips are no use without the emotional element practiced. Practice. Understand why you are clearing your plate. And then once you know why you're clearing your plate, work on it. Is it truth? Where is there truth in this? Where can I make this more of a productive time? Where can I enjoy and find joy in my life as opposed to just waiting for this food to bring me joy? So here are your practical tips, because I just know you've been waiting for them. So block schedule time to eat. This helps you to really focus on your food. Ensure all distractions are away. Bring a notepad to the table and write down how you're feeling and what you're thinking. This is a practical tip and I am incorporating the emotional element with it. I promise you, this is all tied in. Wait until you've felt hunger for at least 30 minutes before you eat. Stop eating when you've had enough and know that that's okay. Box up your food once you've finished, once you've decided that you've had enough. Push your plate away once you've decided you've had enough. Announce out loud to everyone else once you've had enough. Throw it straight in the bin once you've had enough. Notice that I've not said when you are full. I talk about when you've had enough. And finally, know your meal isn't done when the plate is cleared. It's done when your body needs no more. And I'm going to end on that because that is such a poignant note to end on. Know your meal isn't done when the plate is cleared. It is done when your body needs no more. If you're really struggling with this, guys, book in your call. You're gonna at least walk away with 3 practical tips, 3 clear tips on where to go next. If coaching's not for you, no, it's not for you. That's totally fine. And you still get some coaching tips to get you out of the shit show that you might continuously be seeing right now. Get you towards your goals, 3 steps closer towards your goals for free. All you got to do is just put the word below, call, or DM me with the word call, and we'll book a call. All right, sending you lots of love. I know you've got this. You can do this. Think emotional eating, not practical eating. Much love. Take care. Bye-bye.